Fleet Commander stood on the main bridge of his flagship, the Dominion's Pride. His four eyes moved slowly across the massive viewing screen that showed the blackness of space dotted with distant stars. Behind him, dozens of officers worked at their stations, monitoring systems, checking weapons, and tracking the movement of the 300 warships under his command. The Dominion had ruled this part of the galaxy for 8,000 years. They had conquered 17 star systems in the past decade alone. Their ships were powerful. Their weapons were advanced. Their soldiers were trained from birth to fight and to win. No species had ever defeated them in open battle. Today, they would add another world to their empire, a small blue planet orbiting a yellow star. The natives called it Earth, and they called themselves humans. Clicked his mandibles together in what passed for a smile among his kind. His gray-green scaled skin caught the dim light of the bridge as he turned to face his second-in-command. Sub-Admiral said, his voice deep and commanding. Report on the human defensive forces. Stepped forward. He was younger than eager to prove himself, and his scales had the brighter coloring of youth. He held a data tablet in his clawed hands. Commander, our scouts have completed their final survey. The humans possess approximately 90 warships in their defensive fleet. Their largest vessel masses around 40,000 standard units. They use chemical propulsion systems and basic kinetic weapons. Their technology level is roughly equivalent to the before we conquered them. Remembered a peaceful species, artists and philosophers who had believed that reason and diplomacy could protect them from the harsh realities of the universe. They had been wrong. The Dominion had erased them from existence in less than a year. And their planetary defenses, asked. Minimal, some orbital platforms with basic laser systems, ground-based missile launchers, nothing that poses any real threat to our fleet. Nodded slowly. This would be an easy conquest. The humans had sent radio signals into space for barely 200 years. They were infants compared to the ancient civilizations the Dominion had crushed over the. What do we know about these humans themselves? Scrolled through his data tablet. They are a curious species, Commander, warm-blooded mammals, bilateral symmetry, 2 eyes, 2 arms, 2 legs. They live approximately 80 to 100 years. They have multiple nation-states on their planet that often fight among themselves. They fight each other, found this interesting, while knowing we exist. It appears so, Commander. Our scouts detected numerous military conflicts on their planet's surface even as we approached. They seem incapable of true unity. This was good news. A divided enemy was a weak enemy. The Dominion had used such divisions many times in the past to speed their conquests. Signal the fleet, commanded. Standard conquest formation. We will approach the human defensive perimeter and offer them one chance to surrender. When they refuse, we will demonstrate our power by destroying a portion of their fleet. Then they will understand what they face. The order went out across the armada. 300 warships began to shift their positions, moving into the carefully practiced formation that the Dominion had used for thousands of years. The larger battle cruisers took the center. The faster attack ships spread out on the flanks. The support vessels fell into protected positions at the rear. It was a beautiful display of military precision. Each captain knew exactly where their ship belonged. Each crew member understood their role in the coming battle. They had been doing this for so long that conquest had become routine. Watched the fleet reorganize with pride. These ships represented the peak of Dominion engineering. Their hulls were made from hardened metals mined from 100 different worlds. Their weapons could crack the crust of a planet. Their shields could withstand nuclear explosions. Against such power, what could 90 primitive human ships possibly do? The fleet began its final approach to the human system. Long-range sensors showed the human ships holding position near there. They had formed a defensive line between the Dominion fleet and their planet, which supposed showed some courage, even if it was ultimately pointless. "Commander," an officer called from the communication station. "We are receiving a transmission from the human fleet. They wish to speak with you." "Put it on the main screen." The viewing screen flickered, and a human face appeared. It was a female, noted, with gray hair pulled back from her face and eyes that seemed harder than he had expected. She wore a dark uniform with symbols on the shoulders that probably indicated her rank. "This is Admiral of Earth Defense Command," the human said. Her voice was calm and steady, showing no fear. "You have entered sovereign human territory. Identify yourselves and state your intentions." Stepped forward so that he was clearly visible on the transmission. He wanted this human to see him properly. He wanted her to understand what she was facing. "I am Fleet Commander of the Dominion. My intentions should be obvious, Admiral. We have come to claim your world." The human female did not flinch. She did not look away. Her expression remained neutral, almost bored. "The Dominion, we know of you. Then you know that resistance is pointless. We have conquered 17 star systems in the past decade. We have crushed civilizations far more advanced than yours. Your 90 ships cannot stop our 300. You have committed genocide against multiple species," Admiral continued, as if had not spoken. You destroyed them all." Clicked his mandibles impatiently. They were inferior species. They refused to accept their place in the natural order. We did what was necessary. "Necessary," the human repeated the word as if tasting it. "I see." "You have one standard cycle to surrender unconditionally," declared. "Your leaders will submit to Dominion authority. Your military will be disbanded. Your population will be evaluated for usefulness to the Empire. Those who are useful will serve. Those who are not will be removed." "Removed," Admiral said. "You mean killed." "It is the way of things, the strong rule. The weak serve or die. This is the truth of the universe." The human female was quiet for a long moment. She seemed to be studying, examining him the way a scientist might examine an interesting specimen. It was an unusual reaction. Most species at this point either begged for mercy or screamed threats they could not back up. "Fleet Commander," she finally said, "I want you to understand something. We found the archives." Felt a flicker of surprise but did not show it. They had been meticulous record keepers. They had documented everything about their civilization, including their final desperate days as the Dominion fleet approached there. "The records of a dead species are of no consequence," replied. "We disagree. Those records taught us everything we needed to know about the Dominion, your tactics, your technology, your psychology." Admiral paused. "Your weaknesses." Laughed at this. It was a harsh, clicking sound that echoed through the bridge. Several other officers joined in. The idea that these primitive humans had found any weakness in the Dominion was absurd. But did not laugh. Something about the human female's calm demeanor was bothering him. She should be afraid. She should be desperate. Instead, she looked like someone who was exactly where she wanted to be. "You are bluffing," said. "Am I?" Admiral's expression did not change. "Fleet Commander, I am going to offer you something that the Never had the chance to give you. A warning." "A warning?" "Leave now. Turn your fleet around and go back to wherever you came from. Tell your government that Earth is not a world to be conquered. Do this, and you will live. Stay, and you will discover why humans have survived everything our universe has thrown at us." Felt his anger rising. No one threatened the Dominion. No one spoke to a fleet commander this way. "You dare threaten us with your 90 pathetic ships, with your chemical rockets and kinetic weapons." Let his contempt show in his voice. "Human, we have been conquering worlds since before your species learned to walk upright. We have destroyed civilizations that had already reached the stars when you were still living in caves. You are nothing. You are insects, and in a few hours you will be extinct." Admiral nodded slowly, as if had simply confirmed something she already knew. "I offered you a chance," she said. "Remember that." The transmission ended. stood in silence for a moment, his four eyes still fixed on the screen that now showed only stars. Around him, his officers waited for orders. Commander ventured, "What did she mean by that?" "It does not matter," replied, pushing aside his unease. "She is trying to make us hesitate. It is a common tactic among weaker species. They hope that if they seem confident, we will believe they have some hidden advantage." "But Commander," she mentioned the archives. "If they truly found them, if they learned about our tactics and technology—" "Then they know they cannot win," interrupted. "They knew everything about us and it did not save them. Knowledge is worthless without the power to act on it. These humans have no power. They are stalling for time that will not help them." He turned to face his officers. "All ships will advance to combat range. Weapons will be armed. Shield generators to full power. We end this today." The order went out, and 300 warships surged forward. On the human side of the system, Admiral watched the fleet begin its advance. The main display and Earth Defense Station, Omega, showed every enemy ship as a red dot, moving slowly but steadily toward the blue dot that represented Earth. Around her, the command center was busy with activity. Officers monitored communications. Technicians tracked power levels. Tactical analysts calculated approach vectors and weapons ranges. Lieutenant Brooks looked up from his sensor station. "Admiral, the fleet has increased speed. They will reach weapons range of our decoy fleet in approximately 4 hours. Nodded. "Status of the Resolute." "Holding position behind Luna, ma'am. Captain Cooper reports all systems ready. Crew is at battle stations." "The Defiant, Valor and Reckoning." "Also in position. Defiant is behind Mars. Valor is using Jupiter's mass shadow. Reckoning is in the asteroid belt with minimal power output." Allowed herself a small smile. For 30 years, humanity had been preparing for this day. Ever since the discovery of the archives on a distant moon, they had known that the Dominion would eventually find them. The archives had been very clear about the Dominion's policy regarding new species. Submit or die. There was no third option. But the archives had also contained detailed information about Dominion technology, their weapons, their shields, their ships, and humanity had studied that information very carefully. The Dominion had expected to find a primitive species with basic space travel capability. They had expected an easy conquest. They had expected fear and desperation. They had not expected the Resolute. "Open a channel to Captain Cooper," ordered. A moment later, the face of Captain Daniel Cooper appeared on a side screen. He was a tall man in his 40s with short brown hair and a calm expression. Behind him, the bridge of the Resolute was visible, a vast space filled with advanced equipment and hundreds of crew members. Admiral Cooper said, "We are ready." The commander rejected our offer to withdraw. "I expected as much. They are not known for their wisdom." Glanced at the main display again. The red dots were still advancing. "Daniel, I want you to understand something. When you reveal the Resolute, they will experience something they have never felt before. Real fear. Ships that size with that much firepower, they will not know how to react." "Yes, ma'am." "They may panic. They may do something stupid. I need you to be ready for anything." Cooper nodded. "My crew has trained for this for 5 years, Admiral. We know what is at stake. We will not let you down." "I know you will not." Paused. "Daniel, there are 12 billion people on Earth, billions more in our colonies. They are all counting on us today." "And we are counting on 30 years of preparation," Cooper replied. "The Resolute was built for exactly this moment. Let them come. Let them see what humanity has created." Ended the transmission and turned back to the main display. The fleet continued its advance, completely unaware of what was waiting for them. She thought about a peaceful species that had tried to reason with the Dominion. They had sent diplomats. They had offered trade agreements. They had appealed to mercy and common decency, and they had killed them all. Humanity would not make the same mistake. The hours passed slowly. The fleet moved closer and closer to Earth's defensive perimeter. On both sides, crews prepared for battle. Weapons were charged. Shields were tested. Final messages were sent to loved ones who might never receive them. Watched the human fleet grow larger on his viewing screen. 90 ships in a standard defensive formation. He could see their designs now, boxy utilitarian vessels without any of the elegance of Dominion engineering. Their weapon ports were visible, small compared to his own ships. Their engines glowed with the crude light of chemical propulsion. "We are entering weapons range, Commander," reported. "Hold fire. Let them shoot first. I want the record to show that we gave them every opportunity." It did not take long. One of the human ships, a medium-sized vessel near the center of their formation, launched a missile. It streaked across the void toward the Dominion fleet, leaving a trail of exhaust behind it. The missile never came close. A point defense system on one of the attack ships tracked the projectile and destroyed it with a brief pulse of energy. "Primitive," commented. "They are using chemical explosives, the same weapons they use to fight each other." "They use what they have," replied. "Signal the fleet, return fire, destroy the ship that attacked us." 12 vessels targeted the offending human ship. Plasma bolts crossed the distance between the fleets in seconds. The human vessel's shields flared briefly, then collapsed. The ship exploded in a ball of fire and debris. The remaining human ships began to scatter, breaking their formation and attempting evasive maneuvers. More missiles launched, but none of them penetrated the Dominion's defenses. "They are running," observed with satisfaction. "They see now what they face." Watched the human ships flee. Some were heading back toward their planet. Others were trying to escape toward the outer system. It was exactly what he had expected. Exactly what every other species had done when confronted with the overwhelming power of the Dominion. "Pursue them," ordered. "Destroy any ship that does not surrender. Begin moving the fleet toward the planet. We will establish orbit within the hour." The armada surged forward, chasing the fleeing human vessels. More ships were destroyed. A few transmitted surrender signals and were captured. The path to Earth was opening. But something was bothering. He could not identify exactly what it was, but some instinct honed by decades of command was telling him that something was wrong. He said quietly, "Have our sensors detected any other human vessels, anything hiding elsewhere in the system?" The sub-admiral checked his instruments. "No, Commander. Our scouts surveyed this system thoroughly. The 90 ships we engaged appear to be the entirety of their fleet." And yet their admiral seemed so confident. "She was bluffing, Commander, trying to make us hesitate. You said so yourself." Clicked his mandibles slowly. He had said that, and he had believed it at the time. But now, watching these human ships run without any real attempt to fight back, he was beginning to wonder. The human admiral had mentioned the archives. She had said they knew about Dominion tactics and technology. If that was true, then the humans would have known exactly how this battle would go. They would have known that 90 small ships had no chance against 300 Dominion warships. So why had they even tried? Why put ships in their path at all? What was the point of a resistance that could not possibly succeed? Unless the resistance was not meant to succeed, unless it was meant to do something else. Said suddenly, "Full scan of the system. I want every asteroid, every moon, every piece of debris examined. Now." "Commander, we already scanned the system. There is nothing here." "Do it again. Use active sensors, full power." Hesitated, clearly confused, but he relayed the order. Across the Dominion fleet, sensor arrays began sweeping the system with high-powered detection beams. And then they found it. Commander's voice had changed. The confidence was gone. "We are detecting something behind the planetary satellite. The fourth planet. It is large, very large." "Show me." The viewing screen shifted to show an image of Mars. the red planet that the humans called their closest neighbor. Behind it, partially hidden by the planet's mass, something was moving. At first, thought it must be another moon, something they had somehow missed in their surveys. But moons did not move like that. Moons did not have running lights that flickered along their surface. Moons did not have gun batteries visible even at this distance. "Get me dimensions," demanded. His voice had gone very quiet. Was staring at his instruments. His scales had paled, losing their color in a way that indicated extreme stress among the. "Commander," he said, "the object is a ship." "A ship?" "Yes, Commander. A vessel approximately 43 kilometers in length. Mass readings indicate approximately 700 million standard units." The bridge had gone silent. Every officer had stopped what they were doing to listen. 43 kilometers, 700 million units. Those numbers were impossible. No one built ships that large. The largest Dominion vessel ever constructed was barely 3 kilometers long. "That cannot be accurate," said. "Check your instruments." "I have checked them 3 times, Commander. The readings are accurate." The human ship was emerging from behind Mars now, moving with a slow, terrible purpose. It was vast beyond imagining, a mountain of metal and weapons that seemed to fill the viewing screen. Its hull was dark and angular, without any of the smooth curves that most civilized species used in their ship designs. It looked brutal. It looked primitive. It looked like something built for no purpose other than destruction. "That is not a ship," one of the officers whispered. "That is a weapon." Found himself unable to speak. He had commanded fleets for 40 years. He had conquered a dozen worlds. He had never, in all that time, seen anything like the vessel now emerging from behind Mars. The humans had been preparing. The human admiral had said as much, but had not understood what she meant. He had assumed she was talking about training, about tactics, about some clever strategy that might delay the inevitable. He had not imagined this. "Commander, we are receiving a transmission from the human vessel." "Put it through." Admiral's face appeared on the screen again. She looked exactly as she had before, calm and confident, but now understood why. "Fleet Commander," she said, "allow me to introduce the UES Resolute, the first of humanity's Titan-class battleships. She carries a crew of 14,000 and enough firepower to reduce your entire fleet to debris in approximately 11 minutes. Struggled to find words. How did you build this?" 30 years, Fleet Commander. 30 years of every resource we could gather. 30 years of our best engineers and scientists working on a single project. When we found the archives, when we learned what the Dominion had done and what they would do to us, we knew we had to be ready. You could not have built one ship that large, the resources alone. "One ship," almost smiled. "Commander, look toward your fleet's right flank." Turned to the secondary display. Space was rippling near the asteroid belt and something else was emerging. Another massive vessel, perhaps slightly smaller than the first, but still impossibly huge. The UES Defiant announced, "Our second battleship." "Commander," an officer called out, his voice shaking. "2 more contacts, one behind Jupiter, one near the edge of the system." "The UES Valor and the UES Reckoning," confirmed. "Our third and fourth battleships." 4 ships, 4 vessels that each massed more than the entire Dominion fleet combined. 4 weapons that made everything had ever known about naval warfare completely obsolete. "We could have built more," continued. "We had plans for 12, but we decided that 4 would be enough for this conversation." Stared at the viewing screen, watching as the 4 human battleships moved slowly into position around his fleet. They were not attacking. They were not even charging their weapons, as far as his sensors could tell. They were simply taking up positions that would allow them to destroy every Dominion ship from multiple angles. "What do you want?" finally asked. "I told you what we wanted. I gave you a chance to leave. You refused." We did not know about these ships. No, you did not. Because we wanted you to come here. We wanted you to face our decoy fleet, just as you expected. We wanted you to feel confident, to feel certain of victory. And then we wanted you to see what humanity is capable of when we are truly threatened. Leaned forward slightly, her eyes hard. They tried to reason with you. They tried diplomacy and negotiation. They tried to appeal to your better nature, and you killed them all down to the last child. We learned from their mistake, Commander. We learned that some species only understand one thing: power. She gestured, and the viewing screen split to show all 4 human battleships simultaneously. They were magnificent in their terrible way, 4 monuments to human determination and ingenuity. You have power now, Commander, real power, the power to choose. You can order your fleet to attack us, and we will destroy every one of your ships. Or you can turn around, go home, and tell your government what you found here today. Tell them that Earth is not a world to be conquered. Tell them that humanity is not a species to be underestimated. Looked at, the sub-admiral's scales had gone almost white with fear. Around the bridge, officers sat frozen at their stations, waiting for orders that might be their last. The Dominion had never retreated from a battle. In 8,000 years of conquest, they had never turned away from an enemy. The shame of it would follow for the rest of his life. But if he ordered an attack, he would not have a life to live. None of them would. "What guarantees do we have that you will not fire on us as we withdraw?" asked. "None," replied. "You will have to trust us. I know that is difficult for your kind. You have never given trust and never received it. But this is the choice before you. Trust that we will let you go or die knowing that you refused our mercy." Mercy, the word tasted bitter in his mouth. He had never offered mercy to the species the Dominion had conquered. He had never expected to receive it. And yet here it was, offered by a species he had dismissed as insects, offered from a position of absolute strength. "Commander," said quietly, "we cannot win this fight." "I know. If we retreat, the High Council will have us executed for cowardice." "Perhaps, but if we attack, we die here and now, and our fleet dies with us. 300 ships and their crews gone in minutes," turned to face his officers. "I have led you into many battles. I have never asked you to die for nothing. I will not start today." He turned back to the viewing screen. "Admiral, the Dominion fleet will withdraw from human space. You have my word." Nodded slowly. "A wise decision, Fleet Commander. One more thing. Before you leave, you will transmit the complete navigational data for all Dominion-controlled systems." "Why?" "Because we want to know where you are, all of you. We want to know the locations of your worlds, your shipyards, your military installations. We want this information so that we can watch you, so that we can know if you ever try to come here again. And if we refuse, then you do not leave." It was not really a choice. Knew it and knew he knew it. The Dominion's secrets, the carefully guarded locations of their core worlds, would be given to these humans, given freely because the alternative was death. "Very well," said, "we will transmit the data." "Good, then you may go, Commander. Go home, tell your leaders what happened here. Tell them about the Resolute and her sister ships. Tell them that we will be watching. And tell them that if any vessel ever threatens human space again, we will not offer terms. We will simply destroy it." The transmission ended. Stood in silence for a long moment, staring at the viewing screen. The 4 human battleships held their positions, their weapons still tracking the Dominion fleet. They did not need to fire. The threat alone was enough. "Begin the withdrawal," ordered. "All ships, best speed to the system boundary." The Dominion fleet turned away from Earth. 300 warships that had expected an easy conquest now fled toward the edge of the system, their crews silent with shock and shame. Behind them, the human battleships maintained their vigil, watching, waiting, ready. As the Dominion's pride passed the outer planets, took one last look at the viewing screen. The Resolute was still visible, a tiny speck of light against the infinite darkness of space. From this distance, it almost looked like just another star. But knew the truth. That speck of light was a declaration, a statement, a promise. Humanity would not be conquered. Humanity would not be enslaved. Humanity would not be erased from the universe like the. Humanity had built mountains of steel and armed them with the fire of suns. And they had done it in just 30 years. What might they build in 100 years? 1,000? What would these humans become if they were left alone to grow and develop? Did not know. He suspected he did not want to know, but he was certain of one thing. The galaxy would never be the same. 6 months later, a diplomatic vessel arrived at the edge of human space. It was a small ship, unarmed, broadcasting signals of peaceful intent. The crew was nervous. No had ever come to another species asking for anything. Admiral met the delegation aboard Earth Defense Station Omega. The ambassador, an elderly diplomat named, moved slowly, his scales faded with age. He had served the Dominion for 200 years. He had negotiated the surrender of a dozen worlds. He had never negotiated as a suppliant. Admiral said, "The High Council of the Dominion has sent me to discuss terms of permanent non-aggression between our peoples." Nodded, "I am listening." "We are prepared to recognize human space as sovereign territory. We will not enter your systems without permission. We will not interfere with your expansion or development." "Go on." Hesitated. "In return, we ask that you do not share the information we transmitted with other species. The locations of our core worlds, our military installations. This information in the wrong hands could be used against us. You are asking us to keep your secrets." "Yes." Considered this for a moment. Through the viewport behind her, the Resolute was visible in orbit, its massive hull catching the light of the distant sun. "Ambassador, do you understand why we built the Resolute? Your people feared us. You wanted protection." "No, we built the Resolute because we read the archives. We read about what your species did to them, how you destroyed their cities, how you killed their children, how you erased their entire civilization from existence." His voice was calm, but there was steel beneath the words. "We did not build the Resolute out of fear. We built it out of anger, out of determination, out of a promise to ourselves that what happened to them would never happen to us." Was silent. "You want us to keep your secrets," continued. "You want us to protect you from the consequences of 8,000 years of conquest. You want mercy from the species you came to destroy." "Yes." "Why should we give it?" Looked at her with his 4 ancient eyes. "Because you are not us. You offered Fleet Commander a choice. You let him withdraw when you could have destroyed him. You showed mercy when you had no reason to." He paused. "If you were like us, you would not have done that." Was quiet for a long moment. Through the viewport, she could see construction lights flickering around a massive orbital frame. The 5th human battleship was taking shape, its skeleton already larger than the largest warship. "We will keep your secrets, Ambassador, for now. But let me be clear about something. If the Dominion ever threatens human space again, if you ever try to do to us what you did to the, we will not negotiate. We will not offer terms. We will bring every battleship we have to your core worlds, and we will do to you what you have done to so many others." Nodded slowly, "I understand." "I hope you do. I hope your High Council understands, because we are not bluffing. We are not trying to seem confident to hide weakness. We are exactly what we appear to be, a species that has decided we will never be victims." The meeting continued for several hours. Terms were discussed, boundaries were defined, protocols were established. By the time ship departed, a treaty had been agreed upon. The first treaty of equals that the Dominion had ever signed. Admiral watched the diplomatic vessel disappear into the distance. Behind her, Lieutenant Brooks approached with a data pad. Admiral, the construction teams report that the sixth battleship frame is ready to begin assembly. They are requesting a name. Thought about it for a moment, the UES. Brooks raised an eyebrow. Sir, we built these ships because of what we learned from their knowledge saved us. Their sacrifice showed us what would happen if we were not ready, turned away from the viewport. The least we can do is remember them. Yes, ma'am, I will inform the construction teams. Alone in her office, looked out at the stars. Somewhere out there, the Dominion was coming to terms with a new reality. A reality where they were not the most powerful force in the galaxy. A reality where a young, primitive species had surprised them with strength they never imagined possible. And somewhere out there, other species were watching. Species the Dominion had conquered. Species the Dominion had threatened. Species that had lived in fear for thousands of years. They were watching and they were wondering. If the humans could stand against what else might be possible? Smiled slightly. Humanity had entered the galactic stage. They had announced their presence with fire and steel and a refusal to bend. Whatever came next, whatever challenges the future held, one thing was certain. They would face it standing tall. The Resolute continued its orbit around Earth, a silent guardian watching over the small blue world that had dared to build it. In the shipyards, construction continued. New hulls took shape. New weapons were tested. New crews were trained. Humanity was not done building. They had only just begun. And the galaxy would never forget the day they first saw a human battleship. The day terror gripped an alien fleet. And the day everything changed.